Hey guys, this is Andrew with Figure Fandom Review, and today we're going to be reviewing the S.H. Figuarts Trafalgar Law from One Piece. Now, Law is not my favorite character, but he's definitely high up on the list of characters I like. And was very excited when I saw that Tamashii was going to be releasing this figure, so I was super stoked because I think Law is one of the most interesting characters in One Piece. Cool backstory, really interesting and cool double fruit power, which is just weird, and all the abilities he can kind of do with it. Very cool character type and everything that he's kind of done in the series so far. And to me, he's like the Whitebeard, whereas Luffy's Gold Roger. So I'm really curious to see how their, dynamic kind of, continues in the story. So, but regardless, was super excited to get this figure when I saw that it was getting released. Just a very poor design choice in the case of this figure, man. Like, this figure, I believe, has so much potential, and there's a couple things that are done very well, but there is one big mega glaring issue with this figure. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna take him off the stand, and we will dive right in. So let's get into it. Alright guys, so now that we got him off the stand, let's go ahead and take a look at the aesthetics. So first thing you're gonna notice, and the biggest issue with this figure, is this cloak. This cloak is awful. Like, not even gonna sugarcoat it. This is pretty bad. The figure is heavy as all man is, because they used a softer rubberized kind of like plastic, and it is super heavy. It makes it very hard to balance the figure in anything outside of a standard pose. Like right now you can't tell, but I have him leaning forward like Michael Jackson in order to stand upright. Also, there's no shading on this figure that I have seen. The least you could have done if you're going to give us this ugly cloak is to shade it, and that would have been, something at least. The pose factor for this is just, it's silly. It's very heavy. These hinges don't really hold up anything on it. So you do have hinges that you can move it out the way, but it does not hold up the cloak in any way. I guess right there did. Finally, thank you. So it holds it up a little bit, but for the most part, it's not even across everything. So it's just really cumbersome. I don't know what they were thinking. At an $80 price point, they could have done a lot better than this. So that's the biggest issue that I have, is this cloak is really bad. Another issue is there's really no shade work at all. They put no shading on the figure in any way that I can see, at least, which is a shame, because I think this is a really awesome figure. A little bit of shading would have really made it pop. However, on the plus side, I will give them credit. The paint work that I've seen on everything that is painted is very well done. So the tattoos on his chest, on his forearms there, you can see that. All the tattoos on the hands, like all the hands you get, they have the, obviously the tattoos, and they have his, wording on there, which I'm not going to say. But, yeah, and on the spots on the pants, all really, really good. So, I mean, when you look at him, even the faceplates, all really, really good. It's primarily this cloak, man. This cloak is just ridiculous. I don't know why they would think that's okay to release a figure at that price point with such a big issue. Like, even now, like, you see me fighting. There you go. I have to lean him forward like crazy far in order to get him to balance. This is nuts. But yeah, so moving away from this, let's go straight into the articulation. Okay, so on to the articulation. So starting like we usually do, I'll start from the top and work my way down. So for head movement, we do get left and right head movement, no problem. For head tilt, he does have head tilt. However, it looks like it could be much better, but his head keeps running into the collar of his coat, and that is a problem that you're gonna have on both sides. Even if you move it out the way, it's still kind of like the back of it still rubs, and so you're not going to get the best range out of that, unfortunately. Looking back is almost non-existent also because his head is completely bumping into the back of that coat. So that is not good. However, he can look down a fair amount, so the looking down is decent at least. Now, for his arms, we'll just say he gets, let me just move this out of the way. There you go. He gets much greater than 90. So he can bring his arms way up. So very nice. He does have a, bicep swivel. Losing my train of thought here. He does have a double jointed elbow. Works very well. As well as he does have a ball hinge, or peg hinge, for his hands. And he has great range of mobility with that. Another thing you'll notice about his arms is it looks like Figuarts is doing this new style where they're kind of like chopping out some of the plastic underneath the arms to give you greater range on his butterfly joint. And so I'll show you what I mean right now. So you see the angle of it, it's kind of weird. So they do that so that now you can get much greater range. So he can pretty much just bring his arms all the way across. So this is actually exceptional range for butterfly joint. I actually like the way they're doing that, and kudos to them for trying something new to give us more range out of these figures. So really, really cool. Now going down to his torso, he does get upper ab crunch at the top for his upper torso. It's very hard to see the range because of the shirt, unfortunately. This is a rubberized shirt. But it is there, and it does work, pretty well. So I'm not going to complain about that. He does get lower ab crunch range as well. So he can twist to left and right, no problem. He can look back a fair amount, so pretty good. Overall, the range on his torso is not bad. Not the best we've seen, but it's still, in my opinion, it's acceptable. It's not bad at all. So moving down to his legs now, he does have the ability to kick out to 90, so really good there. Kicking back is going to be the same situation. He's got that kind of like, hard, plastic butt, so it is going to force the leg out to the side, so just be aware of that. He can not do the splits, but he has some okay range. It's it's average at best. So he does have average range in his hips. Now he does have a thigh swivel. So there you go. We got that. He does have a double jointed knee, which works pretty well. We also have for his ankles, he can pivot his ankles back that much. Pivot them forward a decent amount as well. He does get an ankle rocker. So there you go. If it wants to focus there. So he does have an ankle rocker that works very well. Now he does have a toe hinge. However, I don't think it's very functional. So it doesn't look that bad. It's okay. I don't think it's a very bad looking toe hinge. However, it doesn't have a lot of surface area, so I don't think it is the best functioning toe hinge in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much. Oh wait, almost forgot the star of the show. So for his cloak does have 2 hinges. So he has a hinge that goes up and doesn't stay up because of the weight of the cloak. And this one right here, this one stays up a little bit, and that's probably because it's also not as loose. But yeah, so that's the range for his cloak. So yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with this. This was completely just ridiculous that this is what they came up with for an $80 figure. The back piece of the cloak also is kind of like it's really like molded into his back, unfortunately. And yeah, this is a mess. But anyways, now we're going to move on to the accessories. If I can get him to stand. On to the accessories. Alright guys, for accessories we get a shouting face. We get his stern face. We also get a smiling face. We get his face that he was playing chicken with Luffy and Kid with. We get an additional face for Luffy playing chicken also against the fire attack in the anime. We do get an additional hair piece so that he can be without his hat. We get a pair of sword wielding hands for this when his sword is in his sheath. We get a pair of sword holding hands for the sword out the sheath. 2 relaxed hands, which can be used for room. 2 thumbs up hands. 1 shambles hand, left hand. 1 finger pointing hand. And 1 karate chopping hand. And lastly, guys, for accessories, we do get his sword. So you do get the sword while it's in the sheath, right here, and you do have the sword outside of the sheath. And let's say you want him holding his sheath in one hand and the sword in the other, you can simply just remove the top of the sword, and there you have it. So, pretty cool. Alright, guys, well, there you have it. S.H. Figuarts Trafalgar Law from One Piece. And right now, as he spins around, I imagine that he's sticking his middle finger up at us, because that is exactly what it feels like Tamashii did with this release. I know that they often go to events and stuff. I don't know how you could have had this figure at events and not been like, oh man, this cape is really heavy, or just in R&D or QC, you didn't stop to look at this and be like, man, this really doesn't look good, guys. Maybe we should find a different way to do this. At the very least, they could have made the cape like removable, because that's a huge issue with this figure, man. You can't even stand him without the use of a stand. And I know some people, it's not a big deal, they don't care. I personally prefer to have my figures stand on their own. I don't necessarily like to use a stand because of the type of editing I do. It is kind of annoying for me to use a stand when I do certain photos. But yeah, this is what otherwise could have been a really cool figure, and they have no shading at all. And I know for me, shading isn't the biggest deal, but at the very least, if you're gonna screw me over on the cape, you could have added some shading to make him look a little bit nicer, or at least put shading on the cloak. That way it doesn't look so plain Jane and just so plasticky. So yeah, I really can't let them slide on this one. This is an $80 figure. There is no reason for this. They should have done a better job. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to give this figure a 5 out of 10. I think they really dropped the ball on this one, and hopefully, for the sake of the One Piece line, I hope they come out with, better quality figures in the next releases. The Ace figure, speaking of, for those of you who haven't seen, they did show the Ace release that they plan on coming out with, and that does look pretty promising. So here's hoping on that. But for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you guys for all the comments. Thank you for the support. Again, I know I thank you guys a lot, but it's because I am thankful. So thank you for all the time you spend watching the channel. The channel is growing. More and more people are watching. So for those of you who subscribed, thank you. It means the world. For those of you who don't and still watch, hey, I appreciate you watching, but you can go ahead and you can hit the subscribe button. It's perfectly cool. Anyways, if you guys have any questions on anything that you need me to, help you with, go ahead, put it in. I love reading the comments. I love interacting with you guys. If I can do anything to help you find something, or if there's a review even for a figure that you would like me to review that I haven't yet on the channel, go ahead, let me know. If I don't have the figure, I'll try to get it. All right. So as always, guys, I'm going to leave you. So please be safe. And again, as always, guys, keep collecting. I'll see you guys later.